You are not your past. A Course in Miracles meditation based on A Course in Miracles teachings. Let's first take a quick, brief look at the benefits of meditation. Breathing affects the nervous system, brainwave patterns, the lymphatic system, blood flow, blood pressure, the heart, our emotional state, and more. In addition, we can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, yet we can only survive for 3 minutes without oxygen. That's how critical oxygen, or breathing, is. In addition to that, Dr. Masaru Emoto of Japan proved in experiments that water responds very differently in extremely dissimilar ways to positive and negative words. So the oxygen we take in from our environment, our breathing, and the thoughts we think are very important. Meditation context. Keeping your attention on or in your body will keep you in the present moment. All guilt, regret, resentment, and anger is based on the past. All worry, anxiety, and fear is centered on some point in the future. In the present moment, none of that fear-based negativity exists. The Course in Miracles text is 1,754 pages long, and the main premise is nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Each of my meditation videos will all have from 7 to 10 A Course in Miracles quotations, and after each quotation, I will have a short meditation. Here is the first Course in Miracles quotation. Quotation: "The past becomes the justification for entering into a continuing, unholy alliance with the ego against the present. Therefore, the relationships the unholy alliance dictates are not perceived nor felt as now." A Course in Miracles. We're going to use the 4-7-8 method. The 4-7-8 breathing technique involves breathing in for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and then exhaling for 8 seconds. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation: "Unless you learn that past pain is an illusion, you are choosing a future of illusions and losing the many opportunities you could find for release in the present. The ego would preserve your nightmares and prevent you from awakening and understanding they are past." A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation: "As you look upon yourself and judge what you do honestly, you may be tempted to wonder how you can be guiltless. Yet consider this: you are not guiltless in time, but in eternity. You have sinned in the past, but there is no past." A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. Guilt remains the only thing that hides the Father, for guilt is the attack upon his Son. The guilty always condemn, linking the future to the past, as is the ego's law. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. You consider it natural to use your past experience as the reference point from which to judge the present. Yet this is unnatural. When you have learned to look on everyone with no reference at all to the past, either his or yours as you perceive it, you will be able to learn from what you see now. For the past can cast no shadow to darken the present unless you are afraid of light. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. Do not underestimate the intensity of the ego's drive for vengeance on the past, for the ego remembers everything you have done that has offended it and seeks retribution of you. For the ego holds the past against you, and in your escape from the past, it sees itself deprived of the vengeance it believes you so justly merit. That this is insane is obvious. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. The guilty always condemn, linking the future to the past, as is the ego's law. Fidelity to this law lets no light in, for it demands fidelity to darkness and forbids awakening. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. The Christ as revealed to you now has no past, for he is changeless, and in his changelessness lies your release. To be born again is to let the past go and look without condemnation upon the present. The cloud that obscures God's Son to you is the past, and if you would have it past and gone, you must not see it now. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here, There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. The statement posed at the beginning of this meditation was, "You are not your past." The quotations that best elaborate on this will be shown here now. The first text that I highlighted in green says, "Unless you learn that past pain is an illusion, you are choosing a future of illusions." So what that appears to be telling you is to prevent a future of illusions, learn that past pain itself is an illusion. Begin to question past pain. Again, the statement posed at the beginning of this meditation was, "You are not your past." And another quotation that best elaborates on this is highlighted in green. It says, "You are not guiltless in time, but in eternity. You have sinned in the past, but there is no past." Okay, that seems to imply that we need to begin to question sins and guilt and everything the world tells us you are guilty because of what you've done in the past. Okay, in eternity, that does not exist. We need to begin to question those things. The statement posed at the beginning of this meditation was, "You are not your past." And here's another question and a green highlight which best elaborates on this. The green highlight says, "When you have learned to look on everyone with no reference at all to the past, either his or yours, as you perceive it, you will be able to learn from what you see now." So that appears to be telling you that it makes sense to question referencing the past in regards to how we see others, and to learn that way we can learn what is real, what is true. The statement posed at the beginning of this meditation was, "You are not your past." And here's another final quotation that best elaborates on this. What I highlighted in green says, "The Christ as revealed to you now has no past, for he is changeless, and in his changelessness lies your release." So what that appears to imply is we can be released from our past, as Christ has no past, as he is changeless, and in that changelessness is our release. Space Eternity Meditation. We're going to take an imaginary trip with your consciousness, and during this imaginary trip, we'll leave your body behind. To begin, see yourself standing in a large grass field. You've been given the ability to travel into space and to go anywhere you like. You don't have to worry about oxygen, collisions, or anything else, because only your consciousness will be traveling into space. You now have the intention and decide to go straight up into the sky. You are now flying up into the clouds. You then decide to pause and take a look around. You look down and see cities, streets, towns, and hills. Now you have the intention and decide to continue flying straight up. You are now in outer space, and it's mostly darkness with lights from stars and distant planets. You then slow down, pause to a standstill, and take a look around. At this point, you decide to go straight ahead in a horizontal direction. Meteors, planets, and other phenomena are racing by you. You then slow down, pause to a standstill, and take a look around. You again decide to continue in the same direction. You continue, and you have now traveled a significant distance while moving extremely fast. You then think to yourself, when will I reach the end of this universe or of this solar system? How will I know when I've gone as far as I can possibly go? You then realize that either there is an upcoming wall of some sort, or space just continues on. And you think to yourself, if there is some sort of a wall ahead of me, what about straight above me? Is there some sort of a wall there too? And what about straight below me and behind me? Is this universe or solar system contained in some sort of a box? Is outer space confined by a box with walls? And if so, what is behind the walls of this box? You think to yourself, if outer space is confined by a box and I go through one of the walls of the box into outer space again, then when does that space end? Is there another box enclosing the box that I just exited from? You then realize that the only thing that makes sense is that there are no walls or boxes in outer space, that space just keeps on going endlessly for an infinite distance. You realize that infinity is the only thing that makes sense when it comes to outer space. Okay, we're going to do a timelessness meditation. And again, take long, slow, deep breaths, but very relaxed. Don't make an effort of it. Okay, we're going to take a look at time now. To begin, see yourself standing on a long, almost endless sandy beach. You hear a loud, gentle, kind voice, and it says, each grain of sand on this beach is equal to a 100-year lifetime. And there are millions of beaches just like this one, with trillions of grains of sand on each one. How many lifetimes do you think you have? You have an infinite number of lifetimes for all of eternity. As you breathe in, see your consciousness diving down into a grain of sand. As you dive down into it, you see that everything is large, and you see that it resembles planet Earth. There are oceans and mountains and vegetations within this grain of sand that you just took a dive into. You keep diving down into the single grain of sand and feel as though you've been there before. It starts to look very familiar. You then realize that you will be starting a new life there, an entire new lifetime from birth to death. And you remember what you were told, that each grain of sand is equivalent to one lifetime, and that there are millions of beaches with trillions of grains of sand on each beach. You begin to sense what timelessness is. You begin to understand how time can just keep going on and continue endlessly, just like outer space. You realize that you are not the body that you see, that you instead are the spirit that surrounds the body. You remember that you've been told that you are energy, and that energy cannot be created or destroyed. You realize that you are an infinite being living in a timeless universe with no end. The body is just a costume.